Cousin. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Monday was Earth Day, as I'm sure of you know, and today we have a very exciting announcement for New Yorkers about how we're making it easier for them to save the planet and save our city money. And the key is making it easier to recycle. And starting today, if it is rigid plastic, any kind of rigid plastic, recycle it. Now, there used to be these crazy codes on the bottom of rigid pieces of plastic, which I will say with my eyes I could never see, and even when I could feel them or see them, I never knew which was good and which was bad. Now it turns out if it's rigid, recycle it. If it's a plastic bag, no, that's not rigid. It's an easier thing, and to taste that technology is better. So rigid plastic, recycle it, and there's no more worrying about the confusing numbers on the bottom. It doesn't matter anymore if it's rigid plastic. One more time, recycle it. And that means New Yorkers are now able to recycle a whole range of plastics that we couldn't before, from yogurt containers and shampoo bottles to plastic cups and compact disc packages. Why are we able to take this big step? Well, we're able to take it because of the major commitment we've made to recycling as part of the city's landmark solid waste management plan. And as part of that plan, we invested in infrastructure and formed a partnership with SIMS Municipal Recycling, you're going to hear from them, that will enable New Yorkers to include all rigid plastics in their recycling. So starting today, one more time, toss all your rigid plastics into recycling containers, and SIMS will take all those plastics to state-of-the-art recycling facilities that can sort and process all rigid plastics for recycling. Now, this is the latest expansion of our city's recycling efforts since Mayor Koch launched a voluntary recycling plan almost 30 years ago. And it means that 50,000 tons of plastic that we're sending to landfills every year will now, if everybody cooperates, be recycled. And that's equivalent to a football field piled 7 stories high with rigid plastics. It's a visual. Just picture the football field 7 stories high, recycled. You won't have to do that. It will save the city's taxpayers almost $600,000 in export costs each year. And because it takes 70% less energy to make plastic from recycled plastic rather than from raw materials, it's going to help us further reduce our city's carbon footprint. Now, we want every New Yorker to start recycling all their plastics, so we've launched a citywide marketing campaign to get the word out. Starting next week, every New Yorker will receive mailers that describe the expansion of the city's recycling program and include easy-to-understand illustrations of what they can recycle and how. We'll also send a number of decals to landlords and homeowners to replace the current labels on their recycling bins. And you can see some examples of these decals on the easels to my left. I hope it does there. And my right. We're also outfitting a number of sanitation trucks with similar artwork. Sanitation truck behind me, that's what they look like. See the recycling? Expanding our recycling program to include all rigid plastics is going to do a lot of good for our city's environment while saving taxpayers money. So it's a win-win-win-win-win. We hope everybody will take advantage of this new program starting today, although the city won't begin enforcement of it until rules are adopted in July. But you can go ahead and make a difference right now. Earlier this year, in my State of the City speech, we renewed our administration's commitment to doubling the city's recycling rate to 30% by 2017, a target that will save taxpayers at least $60 million each year because it's cheaper to recycle than to ship waste to landfills. And thanks to Deputy Mayor for Operation Kaz Holloway, Sanitation Commissioner John Doherty, and Deputy Commissioner of Recycling and Sustainability Ron Gonen, we've created a comprehensive plan to achieve that goal. The expansion of our city's recycling program to include all rigid plastics is a major part of it. But it is only, in all fairness, one step of a broader effort to make recycling easier for New Yorkers. And by year's end, our administration will put another 1,000 new recycling containers on streets in all 5 boroughs. We've already included funds in the budget to put another 3,000 bins on streets over the next 3 years. And starting next month, we'll take an organic recycling pilot that was successful in a number of our city's public schools in Brooklyn and Manhattan and expanded to residents in the Westerleigh area of Staten Island. And that will be a first step in a broad food waste composite program that will expand will expand to other New York communities this fall and to all city schools over the next 2 years. The food waste composting pilot cut the amount of garbage participating schools sent to landfills by something like 38%, more than double the 15% rate of which most public schools divert waste from landfills. So it really is working, and we expect to see similar recycling gains when we expand the program to homes in our city. Expanding our city's recycling capacity took the partnership with dedication of a number of people, and I'd like to invite two of them to speak now. First, we'll hear from the Department of Sanitation Commissioner John Doherty, who has been instrumental in our effort to encourage more New Yorkers to recycle. He is also celebrated 2 days ago, his 75th birthday on Earth Day. Or is that how many years you've been with the department? Which is that?
Something like that.
Not that much different. Seriously, it's fitting that John is implementing these transformational changes. I don't think there's anyone that knows more about these issues or has done more to improve the cleanliness of the city than our Sanitation Commissioner, John Doherty. John.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, the mayor kids about my time on a job and my age and everything, but when you look back, and I started many years ago.
Gotta get rid of that.
Yeah, get rid of that. Okay. Well,
there
we go. Thank you. See,
All
he's
right.
still teaching me. But when you talk about recycling, the mayor recycled me out of retirement 11 years ago,
exactly
and I've had a great time ever since. So recycling is good for not only the environment, it's good for the people too. But when I started many years ago in the department, the recycling wasn't much. The only recycling going on was the sanitation workers, things they picked out of the hopper and recycled for their own benefits. But over the years, we've grown. When we go back to 30 years ago, in 1986, when we first started with recycling on a voluntary basis, we only had little bins on the side of our trucks, and the drivers would go down, and the loaders, and when they seen a little pile of paper that somebody had put out, we put in that bin. But over the years, we've grown. I mean, we started off with only collecting recyclables every 2 weeks. And as people got into recycling and did more and more recycling, we expanded it to once a week, going from small trucks, 3-bin trucks in the early days, to the trucks we have here behind me today on recycling. So it's come a long ways, and I don't think it's ended yet. We've got a lot more to do, and the mayor mentioned about the food waste recycling. We'll be doing electronics recycling. We're doing textile recycling right now in buildings throughout the city. And with the bins that go out on the street, I try to remind everybody, recycling is not only for your home. It's when you go where you work. And when you're out in the street with that can of soda or that plastic cup, throw it in their recycling bin, and it's going to help New York City because, as the mayor pointed out, from a financial point of view, this is a money saver for the city. I want to thank a couple of people that have been very instrumental, of course. Our department Deputy Commissioner Ron Gonen for recycling, and one of his team leaders, Bridget Anderson, is doing a great part in this recycling, all the recycling programs we've been doing for the last couple of years. So a big plus to them and a big handout to them for the great job they did. Thank you very much.
John, thank you. Often the biggest challenge to recycling plastics is having the ability to sort the materials of many types. And with our partnership with SIMS Municipal Recycling, we'll not only make it possible for New York City to sort all types of plastics, it's going to lower our recycling costs as well. SIMS Municipal Recycling is a division, as I'm sure all of you know, of SIMS Metal Management. And I'd like to invite SIMS President of North American Metals, Robert Kelman, to share a few words. Bob?
Thank you very much. Today's an important and exciting day, and one that we've all worked hard to get to. I'd like to personally thank Mayor Bloomberg and his administration, particularly Deputy Mayor Holloway, Commissioner John Doherty, and happy birthday, John, Deputy Commissioner Ron Gonen, and Bob Lang, and the rest of the amazing staff at the Department of Sanitation. With the expansion of plastics recycling, we are making New York City curbside program as inclusive as any in the nation. We're also hopeful that increasing the types of plastics recycled will lead to higher recycling rates for metal, paper, and other recyclables. New York City residents and consumers can also help out by purchasing products that are more sustainable, or as we like to say in our industry, designed for recycling. Look for materials that have recycled content and that are accepted in the new expanded program. We look forward to the opening of our new Sunset Park Materials Recycling Facility, where these new materials will arrive. It'll be a state-of-the-art facility built with the idea of sustainability in mind. It'll include an education center for New York City school children and will demonstrate first how and, more importantly, why we recycle. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Tom Atterbridge and our team from SIMS, in the sales, operations, and administration in helping to get this expansion completed, and most importantly, making sure that we'll be able to responsibly process and recycle these new plastic materials. It is the largest single recycling program in the country, one that we're very proud to be a partnership with the city of, and look forward to many years to come. Thank you.
Bob, thank you. I should point out that we have with us today Tish James, who happens to be chair of the Sanitation and Solid Waste Management Committee on the City Council. Tish, where are you? Someplace here. Let me just summarize for today's announcement for our Spanish-speaking New Yorkers. De ahora en adelante, los neoyorquinos no tendrán que preocuparse por separar los plásticos de números. Todo el plástico regido será reciclado. Estamos expandiendo nuestros programas de reciclaje para desviar 50,000 toneladas de basura de los vertederos in nuestra ciudad. And with that, we'll be happy to take some questions.